Hi, Karen Cree Parker here with your weekly Human Design Evolution Report, and I'm very excited to say September looks amazing. So, if you have had some adventures this summer, as many of you had, if you've struggled a little bit, I want to let you know that things are going to ease up a little bit, but there's a little bit of an if associated with that. And here's the if. They will ease up if you understand how you create and the power of alchemy and your capacity to tap into the power of alchemy in your own life. It starts this week. We begin this week with the sun in the gate 40 and the earth in the gate 37. This actually defines a channel that gives us the potential to tap into a certain degree of willpower. But the truth is, most of us don't really have willpower in the traditional way that we think of as willpower. In fact, willpower is not a great thing to have unless you're configured to have it. For most of us, that's going to be 7/8 of us, we're pushing with will we don't have. That means we are going against the signs. We're going against what feels easy and right. Oftentimes we're overriding what internally we know we maybe shouldn't be doing, but our mind, our brilliant mind, is telling us, oh no, go ahead and do this. This is the next logical, linear, reasonable step to take. And we drown out that inner impulse from our gut, that inner awareness and knowingness that allows us to more easily align with possibilities and expansion in our reality. With the sun in the gate 40, it means that you might be beginning the week a little bit tired. That 40 is the energy of restoration. It's the energy that says when you pull back to restore, restock, replenish, resource yourself, you will cultivate for yourself the resources necessary for you to go back out into the world and create what you want to be creating. The one little caveat on that, the little potential limitation on that, is that we only restore, resource, take care of ourselves to the degree to which we value ourselves. And so if you are wobbly on your own sense of self-worth, on your sense of value, on the importance of your place in the cosmic plan, you might not go full all in on the self-generosity, self-care, restoration, replenishing, restocking, resourcing that you need to do to emerge out into the world as a dynamic, vital, resourced person who has something to share. Here's why this is so vital. This same energy, this gate 40, which connects with the 37, forming the entire channel of sustainable resources, that is a foundational energy for creating community and creating agreements that reflect your value out into the world. If we enter into our relationships, into our agreements, into our bargains, into our business contracts, into our marriages with a sense of value that has not allowed us or supported us in sustaining our own energy, we go into our agreements, our bargains, our commitments with a hidden agenda. That hidden agenda oftentimes sets an expectation that somebody else is going to restock, restore, replenish, renourish you. That obligation to take care of yourself gets abdicated and placed on someone else. And we don't often communicate that expectation very clearly in our relationships. So it sets us up for, hidden agendas or expectations that oftentimes lead to heartbreak and unfulfilled expectations that cause us to be disappointed in our partners when in fact, really and truly the responsibility and obligation for you to sustain yourself and your own energy rests solidly on your own shoulders. That means when you stand in your value, you set clear boundaries, you enter into agreements that reflect your value, and you don't settle and compromise for anything else, anything less than what you deserve. So this week, be mindful of your sense of value and how that might be playing out in your relationships, in your agreements. Use this as an opportunity perhaps to set a new set of boundaries or even make new agreements that are more harmoniously aligned with your true sense of value, what you deserve, and sets the relationship up, the partnership up, the agreements up for each one of you to be taking your right role for you to be taking care of yourself and then entering into co-creation in the partnership or in the community. Be aware too, sometimes this energy creates loneliness. It's a loneliness that oftentimes is actually a trigger that says, okay, cup is full, time for me to go back out into the world. So don't take that loneliness too personally. Just think of it as a signal. And it's either telling you you need more alone time to continue to restore your energies, or it's time for you to go back out into the world and quit hiding out. All right. So Wednesday, this all shifts. Sun moves into the 64, Earth into the 63. These are both head gates. These are energies that have the purpose, the function to stimulate our imagination, our daydreaming, our mind to engage in a world of new expanded possibilities and options. But this is where this energy can also potentially trip you up and actually ultimately also burn you out if you're not careful. These gates are questioning gates. The purpose of the questions, and what happens a lot of times with the 64 and the 63. The 64 says, how can I make this happen? I have this great idea. How do I make this happen? And the 63 says, oh, you can't do that. That's never been done before. Why would you even think about having that idea? That's not possible. These are the two ways these two energies work, the two voices of these two energies. It puts pressure on our head, on our mind, when we engage with these energies for most of us. And that pressure wants us to figure things out. It wants us to figure out, well, how am I going to make this happen? Or it wants us to take our mental energy and prove that something is true, right, valid, etc. If you're getting sucked into the mind game of trying to figure things out, you're not using these energies correctly. The purpose of these energies is to inspire you to think about what else is possible. Can this actually be true in my reality? What would my reality look like if this was true? What are some other options for me to be exploring in my reality, in my relationships, in my community, in the world? They're tremendously creative energies. The purpose of these energies is to stimulate your mind to engage in a flight of fancy, if you will, a daydream, a thought, an inspirational journey. But the purpose is not to do anything with that journey except be in the creative element of that journey. Because when you go on that journey, you actually stimulate your brain to create neurotransmitters. Those neurotransmitters, the juicier that imagination is, creates powerful, positive, emotional response to your thoughts, to your dreams, to your fantasies. Those emotions, that emotional response is actually a frequency of energy. It's a frequency of energy that actually calibrates the electromagnetic resonance field of your heart, which in turn sends a signal back to your brain that says, keep creating more of that, looking for evidence that that's coming true. And it stimulates that electromagnetic frequency that is the root of the law of attraction and begins to draw into your experience things that match the frequency of the emotional energy that you're creating with your imagination. That's it. That's really the root of your creative power. And you are, with these two energies, actually programming yourself to look, to create, to experience, to expand upon the opportunities that you have in your life, the possibilities that you have in your life. And it's a seeding energy, an energy that brings us into new ideas, new possibilities, new opportunities. And it brings us to them by simply attracting them into our reality. There isn't anything you have to figure out. There really isn't anything you have to do with this energy except be with the imagination of your mind, the power of your mind, the creative juice of your mind, and let yourself go on this creative flight of fancy for the rest of the week. Take some time this weekend, set some time aside to just daydream and to think about what's possible. Do all that stuff that we know to do to stimulate that juice and that excitement. Do your vision board, do your dream statements, go cruise on Pinterest or whatever you need to do to stimulate yourself into that place of thinking, dreaming, hoping, imagining what else is possible for your life and for your reality. And for the world, take some time this weekend to think about a beautiful, peaceful, sustainable, abundant world. Because the more we hold that vision, the more we create energy around that idea, the more we find the traces of the evidence of the footsteps necessary for us to begin to really bring that into physical form on the planet. That's it. that's your week. You got a good week ahead of you. Take care of yourself. Dream big. Don't think about what you need to do to figure out how. You don't need to figure anything else out. Make good agreements. Stand in your values. Set good boundaries. Take care of yourselves. Have a fabulous, fabulous week. I'll talk to you next week.